The time has come for me to dig into the new Roxa palette by NATASHA Denona. Did purchase this palette myself and it is finally here. Even though we had a couple of hiccups, it is finally here, and we are of course going to be comparing it to two palettes that a lot of people were saying, isn't this like the same? If you've not been here before, I am a big lover of NATASHA Denona's eyeshadows. I think that is one of the best formulas that you can find in the mainstream market. And I also am a big fan of color. So I'm super excited to see NATASHA Denona release another colorful palette. The last palette that I really loved from the brand was the Yucca palette. I absolutely love the Yucca palette. One of my favorite palettes of last year. So I'm hoping I'm going to feel the same about the Roxa palette. This palette is available on a bunch of different places right now. You can buy it at Sephora. You can buy it at Ulta, you can buy it at NATASHA Denona. I bought it at Sephora because I had a gift card. I had a gift card with Sephora, but Sephora ended up canceling my order and took my gift card. I still have not fully resolved that, but I'll figure that out one way or another. I'm sure I will resolve it eventually. So I ended up having to pay for it anyway. Long story short, it's here right now. I'm happy to have it, but that's why my review is coming up a little bit later, because I was supposed to get this one on Sunday or Monday, but here we are basically. You can also buy this one at Ulta, at Beautylist. You can buy it at the NATASHA Denona website. And if you buy it from the NATASHA Denona website, you can always use an affiliated code. I do have one, it is Angelica, and you get 15% off your order. I don't know if this palette is included. Somebody did put in my comments that this one is excluded. I don't know if that was for like the launch or if that is like an ongoing thing or if it's just somebody's code who works on it. I actually haven't gone in and looked myself because I've been a little bit too busy, and I kind of reminded myself now when I was here. Actually, let me go into the website and check myself because I have a phone here. I can do that. Well, I don't know what to tell you, but my discount code definitely works on this palette. So if you want to get 15% off, you can use that one on the website. Also, the Sephora sale is coming up soon. So if you're a Rouge member, you can get 20% off at Sephora because it is available there. But if you're an insider at Sephora and you only get 10% off, I would recommend you to buy it at NATASHA Denona instead and get 15% off. No need to pay extra when one does not need to. So this palette for me is a purpley mauve palette, which is a mix of warm tones and cool tones. It also has something that I really love, which is the combination between purple and red. So there is a red shade in here, and there's also like almost like a reddish pink in here, and there's a couple of like cool tone colors, and there's also a taupe in here. The shimmers look very diverse, and I say that almost like I'm a little bit surprised because I feel like this is just me, my personal opinion. I'm a matte girly. I love matte eyeshadows. Shimmers are all fine and dandy, but give me an all matte look every day of the week. And I feel like where NATASHA Denona really has been shining for me is the mattes. Not necessarily that the mattes are better quality than the shimmers, because I think the shimmers are really good, again, for being mainstream. But I think that the diversity and what the colors that she offers with the mattes have truly been unique when it comes to like Sephora brands or like Ulta brands or drugstore brands or like mainstream brands. Why am I making this hard? Why am I making this hard on myself? But with this palette, I actually think the shimmers are really diverse. Some of the later palettes that she has had, especially the neutral ones, all the shimmers and even to a degree in the Yucca palette have been maybe a tinge too similar, but with this I really feel like it is a diversity when it comes to the depth and the undertones and the colors and the shimmers too. And that leads me to believe that I'm actually pretty much going to enjoy this one. A lot of people were asking me, is this the same as the Love palette? Let me open it. Personally, I don't think that these are the same, but they're definitely a similar theme in here. And of course, it is the red with the purple. This one has some more golds and neutrals in here and leaning a lot more warm tone than this one is. I would say with this one, there is a silver and there is a purple in here, and I think that honestly that's the only like cool tone shades in this palette. This one has a more mix of cool tones and warm tones and is leaning way more purple than this one. This one only really has one purple, maybe two purples. That's what you get. And you can see that in the comparison swatches as well, that these are distant cousins, but definitely not siblings by any, or twins by any stretch of the imagination. I think the Love palette might still be available at the NATASHA Denona website. It's been one of my favorite color stories that the brand has ever done. So I'm super excited to have something that is, again, a distant cousin to that. Not 100% sure if you can find it anywhere else. And I'm honestly not 100% sure if this is a palette that they're keeping, if they're like, this is the last batch, if it's discontinued, if they're restocking it on the website. But I'm fairly sure that at least last time I checked, you can only find it at the website. And then we have the Lila palette. I was wondering if I still had this palette, but I do. This is the first Natasha Denona palette that I ever bought myself. And I will say, I was not super impressed with Natasha Denona when I bought this palette. I was like, I didn't really get the hype. I think this is more, the formulas are a little bit more luxury brand, not super foiled, not super fun. I think that it's a really good idea for the brand to reimagine Lila and come up with this palette, and the brand themselves has said that as well, that this new Roxa palette is a reimagination of the Lila palette, which I am fairly sure is discontinued. And in this Lila palette, honestly, there's only one purple, which is that like metallic one in the middle. In this one, at least you get like 3, 4, 5 different purple shades. The one that looks a little white in the middle is actually, like you already seen, like a purple duochrome topper shade. This one is leaning a little bit more cool tone neutrals with some red shades, almost like some neutral shimmers, one purple, a couple of pinks, and then there is a red-green duochrome in the Lila palette as well. And I definitely think that the brand is, it's smart of the brand to reimagine it and come out with this one instead. I'm also very excited to see that it is not a fully monochromatic palette. This is not a monochromatic purple palette. There are different shades in here. And again, I think that's super smart because for me, that's one of the reasons why I really like the Yucca palette, because you had not just greens, there were different things going on, giving it a little bit of versatility. I also really like the cover. I don't know if you can see here, but oh my god, it's fingerprinty. But that sheen is like a duochrome green sheen, which is really cool. Okay, I've been talking your ears off. If you're wondering about any of these things, I will put some information in the description box where you can find this palette. I will also put my Natasha Denona playlist down below in case you're interested in seeing some more things. But I do want to do 2 different looks with this palette. So let's zoom in. I already have my purple attire on because I want to be matching. So let's zoom in. I want to do showing some versatility. So I'm going to do one purple like smoky eye, and I think we're going to start with that, and then we'll do something with a contrast between like the red and the purple. So I think I'm going to just start with this, I think it's called Jacaranda. Oh, am I in focus? Hello. I think I'm just going to start with that because I want that to be the main color of the show. The show that is this eye look. So I think I'm just going to pop that in my crease. And usually I only do like the dark crease colors on like half of my crease. But with this one, I'm going to take it in because like I said, we're doing a purple smoky eye. But I'm not going to take it too far here. I'm just going to make sure that it's peeking up above my crease. You can see I have a crease here. I just need to make sure that it's peeking up above my crease, but I don't want to take it too far up because I think it closes off my eye and just changes the shape of my eye when I get it to be too dark up here. And as you can see, I'm just popping it on to begin with, not doing any kind of blending. I just like decide this is where I want the purple. I'm buffing a little bit on the edge before I go in with a lighter color, especially out here where I do want the shadow to go up a little bit. And this is a Cinch EO6, which for me is a great brush to just get the dark color and be able to like pack it on and blend and buff at the same time without dispersing it too widely or without getting a lot of patchiness. Sometimes the right tools really do make a lot of difference. So I'm gonna leave it at like that, and I'm gonna see if I can get some of that purple under my eyes too. Same kind of procedure, just smacking it down. Me and this brand has one thing in common when it comes to like vision of what makes a good eyeshadow palette, and one of them is the inclusion of pastel shadows in a palette. It's great for inner corner, it's great for blending out a crease, or it's great for lid color if you're doing an all matte look. I never start with a pastel like this in my crease though, because they have so much white pigment in them. So whatever you put on top of it usually gets to be, it loses a lot of pigment and it sometimes can end up looking very patchy. But blending out edges, this one is called Sweet Pea. They are perfect with that. So I'm doing a Cinch EO4. And I'm just going to put this on the edge. You can always go back with the other purple afterwards to deepen stuff up. And you can see I'm just pressing it on the edge. A lot of these colorful looks, it's a trust the process. It always ends up looking worse before it ends up looking better. Trust the process. And then we're gonna use some of that pastel to just blend it upwards until we have the edge looking the way we want it to. Don't overblend though, because it can end up looking a little muddy or almost like a bruise if you overblend the purple. And now we're going back with that dark purple to re-intensify and to make sure that they look like they're blended together. And I don't care about what's going on the lid. I mean, we're gonna put a shimmer over that. No need to be blending stuff that I know I'm gonna be covering. So it's gonna end up looking something like this. And I'm gonna fix this on the other eye too, but I'm gonna use a little bit of, it's called Eclipse. It is this dark color right here. And I'm just gonna use a little bit on an EO2. And I'm just gonna deepen up the absolute outer corner with this, because I like when it's really dark out here. And that's gonna help with like the depth of this look. I'm not putting that in here, just a little bit in the outer corner before we go in with the shimmer. I put a little bit under my eyes as well. I think this is looking really nice. As I'm filming this video, I have not swatched these and I wanna figure out, do I wanna use this one or do I wanna use this one? Oh, okay, so one is a little bit more cool tone and one is a little bit more warm tone. I think we're gonna do the cool tone and of course we're gonna mix them together. Maybe I can even... Yeah, I think we're gonna do that. Because we're gonna do a mix between warm tones and cool tones and then next one, I think this will make more sense. I think that this is looking really nice. I'm doing a little bit more of Eclipse, that dark shadow on an EO7, and I am just gonna line a little bit and do like a little wedge. Because I'm not gonna do wing liner, but I like doing a dark shadow like this with an EO7 and just put it as a little wedge up until my smoky outer corner. I think that this looks really good. So I kind of want to try a little bit of this one. That's like a duochrome purple, but I think we'll do that in the next look. I think that's going to be cool. And instead I'll do this pastel in my inner corner as like just brightening up a little bit, because I have darkness all the way in, but if I can just do a little bit of lightness, you can see now when I put this on that this pastel is definitely leaning a little bit more like a pinky purple than like a cool toned lavender pastel. But yeah, that is the look. Let us finish that up. I gotta say, I think this looks really good. I mean, I don't know about you, but I think that I look great. This looks actually absolutely amazing. Purple is one of those colors that's actually really, really hard to formulate a good pigmented, blendable, and non-patchy purple. And I will say, I think that these are really good. I mean, you are paying for it as well. It's I think it's a $69 palette. I don't know if I mentioned that in the beginning, but it's the same price as the Natasha Denona midi palettes usually are. But I gotta say, this look is fire. So yeah, that was the first look with the Roxa palette. Let's do a second look, because I definitely want to play a little bit with the pink and the purple, and I want to do something that has a contrast between maybe cool tone and warm tone. We'll see. We'll play and see. So to be able to create this contrast that I'm hoping for, I am going to be using Heather. Oh, my bestie Heather. Heather and Cerise. Do you say Cerise in English? Because I feel like I would say it something like that in Swedish. Cerise. I don't know if I'm saying that correctly. To be able to play off the warm vibes. And I don't know if I'm going to do Brink and then the Star Girl that is like the purple iridescent, but we'll figure that out as we go. I might deepen it up with the Eclipse shade, which was that dark shade that we used in the other look, to deepen it up as well. I might use that at the end. We will see. Oh, I feel like I'm buffing the table and like creating ripples. I hope you're not getting seasick. I'm just gonna start and I'm gonna put the red out here. And I'm gonna try and do the blob. So I'm gonna do a blob of red and pink out here. And then do the purple in here, the cool tones. I might use a little bit of that sweet tea from the last look. I haven't watched a single video of people reviewing this palette, so I don't know if people like it or if people hate it. So far, I'm really enjoying my time with it. Or if people are like not liking the color story, maybe people are not agreeing, that maybe they're thinking it's too similar to the Lila and the Love. I have no idea, but I would love to hear your thoughts about it. So this is the color Heather, which is like a very warm pink. And we are gonna buff a little bit on the edges of the blob with this color. I'm doing a big blob today, like a big juicy one. Sometimes I do a smaller one, sometimes I do a bigger one. Today it is definitely go big or go home. Okay, I am actually gonna go in with that eclipse and deepen up this part to make it a little bit more dramatic and to give some depth, since like I said, the blob is really go big or go home today. There's no cream to powders in this palette. I just now realized, because normally these dark shades are like a cream to powder because they're so easy to work with, according to me, my personal preference. But in this palette, it doesn't seem to be one. I will also say this color Cerise, which is that like that I call reddish shade. I mean, it's more of a raspberry, like a pinkish red. It's definitely not like a true red. You can tell I'm putting it here on my, it's more pink undertones, which I think like makes a lot of sense for this palette. Again, just having that contrast between the warmth and the cool. Now that we have done like half the eye warm tone, we're gonna do the other half cool tone. And I think I might actually start with this one, which isn't necessarily a cool tone, but I think it's gonna be like a nice foundation for the whole shebang. So I am gonna put that in the inner part of the crease and on the lid. You can see it's not really cool toned, but I mean, to really get this effect, I guess you would have needed a lavender, but also this is almost like a more wearable version of that like lavender and red combo, because it is more a warm pink and like a pastel pinky lavender. It just makes it slightly more approachable, even though my makeup aesthetic is one happy clown, or maybe one unapproachable clown. I didn't bother blending in between here because we are going to be putting some shimmers there. So I think what we are going to start, well, what we're going to start with is a brush. Here we go. We are going to start with this one that's called Stargirl. And this is like an iridescent purple topper, at least. Let me clean this. At least that's what it looks like in the pan. So I guess we're gonna find out. I am gonna spray this because I want as low fallout as possible. Someone did ask me, how do I prevent a lot of fallout from these like special shades? Spraying your brush is your best bet, but also, as you can tell, it's just impossible to fully avoid it. I think you can see now that we get this one on that together with these more pinky shades, it is leaning a little bit more warmer in the undertone, because these topper shades are a little bit transparent, so they are gonna take color from whatever you put them on top of. So what I'm gonna do actually is I'm gonna use this one, the Brink one, and I'm gonna do just a little bit of that one on the edge. So just here where these shadows meet. And then we're gonna go in, you can see I'm using a little bit more of that Cerise, like the reddish matte. And I'm also going to use a little bit more of Eclipse, which is that darkest color. And I'm just blending that on top so that we can have matte in the absolute outer corner. I feel like that really helps with keeping the right kind of depth and also keeping it from looking textured in the outer corner, which I think helps with like the overall look. But yeah, this is what it looks like. Is it a mix of cool tones and warm tones? To an extent. But I also think that these colors, the light lavender-ish shades, the light lavender-ish shades like this one and this one, in the palette, they lean a little pink when you get them together with these colors. But I think that's just the name of the game. I think I'm going to do white in my waterline. But yeah, this is what it's going to look like. Honestly, I think it looks great. I don't want to brag, but I think I killed it. I think this look is fire. I really like it, and I like how different this look is from the first look. You're gonna have to let me know which one you prefer. But yeah, first impression, or first and second impression of this palette, I really enjoy it. I think the quality is really nice. I'm excited to see Natasha Denona release something that's more colorful and bold and editorial. Now that she has, according to me, released quite a few of neutral palettes back to back to back, I'm excited to see something like this. And I would also love to see this in a mini palette with like new shades that go with this. I really feel like there's a lot of like purple and pink and red shades that would be a good extra palette to this. And also if you have the Valentine's palettes, honestly, I mean, maybe those are good, like already the Crush one and the mini Crush and the mini Love, that would go so well together with this palette. So overall, I'm very impressed with this palette. Really enjoying the looks that I've done. I think Natasha Denona is one of the most, if not the most exciting eyeshadow brand that's a mainstream brand. Of course, my heart will always beat for indie brands, but I really did enjoy this and I had a lot of fun working with this. So let me know your thoughts down below, and I will see you again probably tomorrow for a new video. Bye!